Okay, so let's start. So my name is Yogi, and I'm one of the contributors to Apache Apex project. I work at DataTorrent as an engineer. So today we are going to talk about windowing in Apache Apex, and at the end I will also conclude with comparison with microbatch with respect to Apache Apex windows. Okay, so agenda for today is first we'll cover why do we need windowing, what is windowing. So when we are talking about stream processing, why do we need windows? Then we'll look at some example application, and with respect to that application, we will see the relevance of windows. Then we'll look at some terminologies that are used in Apex, and then we'll move to how the windows are handled internally by the platform. Then I will talk about the operator callbacks provided by the platform for the end user or the app developers. Then we are going to talk about the rolling statistics feature available by the Apache Apex platform. At the end, I will conclude with Apex windowing with microbatches comparison. Okay, so let's start. So here is the beautiful picture. Okay, let's say someone asks you to calculate amount of water in this picture. It's pretty straightforward, right? You can apply simple geometric formulae and get volume of water in this tank. Let's move on to the next picture. So now instead of the water in tank, now we have water which is flowing, a stream of water. And since it is in motion, if we apply the same question for this picture, the answer becomes very difficult. So that is the real challenge when we talk about stream processing. The data is in motion. So when something is in motion, it's difficult to track. And when data is in motion, it's typically unbounded data set. So there is no beginning to it, no end to it. And hence it becomes difficult to track. Whereas our computers, where we do our computations, they work on registers or memory or disk. So those are like the finite elements, right? So we have to map this world of unbounded data to something which is finite. So we need some mechanism to chop this infinite unbounded data. Another reason why do we need windowing is because of failure recovery. So for failure recovery, we need to have some bookkeeping. And this bookkeeping will need some tags, some references, based on which we can do some lookup and maintain the state. Another reason is like we need some frame of reference for tracking. So as I said, in bookkeeping, we need some tracking, and for tracking, we need some frame of reference. And these are the reasons why do we need windows. Let's move on to what is windowing. So as I said earlier, the data is flowing, right? So data is flowing with respect to time. Another aspect is the computers, our computing machines can also understand time. So why not use this time axis as my reference? So when we say stream processing in Apache Apex context, we take time axis as a reference, and then we chop our stream into finite time slices, and each of that slice is called as streaming window. Is it clear? So let's move on to the next topic. So here is an example. Okay. So this blue line shows stock price of some company, and the green line shows the index price for that particular day. Okay. So with respect to this data, our problem statement says that you have two input streams, the stock price and index price, and then the output we are expecting is the percentage change difference. So You look at the current price of the stock, you compare it with the day start value, take the percentage change, do the same thing for index and compare those two values. And we emit one data point per second. Okay, and if there are multiple, then let's say we emit the maximum difference over 1 second. Okay, so for this application, we can say that since my output is expected to be one data point per second, window size expected for this application is 1 second. Okay, so I'm trying to just give you some rough idea about what is window with respect to the application. Let's move on to the next application. So this is similar to the first one. So earlier we had a percentage change in the output. Now I have additional output which says average stock price over 1 minute. So whatever the blue line, it had the stock prices with respect to time, and we are saying that I want to get the average over 1 minute and emit one data point per minute. So for this stream D in the output, the window size will be 1 minute. So stream C has window size of 1 second, whereas stream D has window size of 1 minute. So let's try to map this application into the Apex terminologies. Okay, so I will brief about the Apex computational model. So in Apex, we represent any application as a directed acyclic graph. Nodes of that graph are the computation units or the user code which actually processes the data. In Apex terminology, we call it as operators. The edges of this directed acyclic graph is actually the data flowing over the stream. So it is nothing but sequence of data tuples. And in Apex terminology, we call it as streams. Typically, your application will have some operator, or we call it as adapter, which connects to the external world and takes data into Apex. We call it as input adapter. The downstream operators, that is the operators which are after the input adapter, will be processing the data and then emitting the results to the subsequent operators in the pipeline. And at the end, we will have some operator which is writing results to the store or some system where you want to store the results. So let's map our example application into the Apex computational model. So to build the directed acyclic graph for our sample application, we have an input operator which is connecting to the external source. It could be maybe the REST APIs which are taking data for the stock prices and index price. We have another operator for percentage change calculation. So this will actually consume both the stream index price and stock price and emit the results at the rate 1 data point per second. Whereas my other operator, which is average price, will emit the results at 1 data point per minute. And as we saw earlier, window size for stream C is 1 second and window size for stream D, which is average price, is 1 minute. Is it clear? Any questions?
What is the maximum size of a tuple that you support? Repeat the question.
Yeah, so for the remote audience, I will repeat the question. So the question is, what is the maximum size of the tuple that we support? So there is no max limit as such, but it's related to whatever is your JVM container memory. So basically it has to come in memory and then it will get processed. So it is closely related to that, and basically we are not holding multiple tuples at a time. So even if you have large tuple, it will get processed and sent to the downstream operator immediately. So,
And another question: how do all these operators know the schema of the tuple?
okay, so the question is, how do the operators know what is the scheme of the tuple? So for schema definition, we have something called as schema manager, where we upload the configuration about like how does the schema look like for that particular data. And we assume that over the stream there will be like objects belonging to one particular scheme, and then referring to the schema manager, we can get like what type of data we are getting.
So can you please briefly explain about tuple maybe
Okay, so tuple is, you can say, nothing but data, and as he mentioned, a schema associated with the data.
so
So,
it's a data store basically
so
and schema is
tuple is actually a data. So you can say it's you know, for example, it could be just a byte array, and the schema might say that okay, my first 2 bytes represent something, let's say some ID, and the next maybe 20 bytes represent some payload. Is it clear?
So obviously all these operators are being processed in a network. Now there can be jitter because some tuples may get delayed because of the previous operator and all that. So how do you know that your operator is doing 1 per second or 1 per minute? How do you guarantee that kind of thing?
Yeah, so this is actually with respect to the input. So at the input we mark like the beginning of a second, or the beginning of window and end of window, and whenever that window is processed, we emit the output saying that this is the output corresponding to this particular input window. Okay, so the question was actually how do you guarantee the output 1 per second? Any other question?
yes at what stage we define the schema
Okay, I will come to that. So first we'll look at the question. How is it different from Spark streaming? The overall architecture looks similar to Spark. When this is possible in Flume, why does the Apex required? Okay, so I think these questions are maybe at the end we can take these questions, because those are like a comparison with windowing. I will take the question which I think someone in the room asked. So is asking like at what time should we configure the schema? So it's typically before launch of the application, you can say this is the schema I'm going to use.
so uh, can we have a can there be a situation where you have uh, the dynamic data type like you don't know the data type or upfront uh, and still you have to define the schema
Uh, well, I think there is no direct provision for that, but yeah, that can be done, saying that you can accept schema definition as your incoming data on some another stream, and then say that okay, once you get some data or some record on this particular stream, it is nothing but definition of your new schema, and then you can say that okay, whenever you get new record on this particular stream, you just add it to your schema manager, and then schema manager can have the reference for that schema.
Just a related question to this. So in case my data stream is not semi-structured, it's unstructured.
Okay.
Okay, so something like full text. You want to do some kind of sentiment mining.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so does operator give such provision of handling full text, just the text data, but you're doing sentiment mining on the windowing basis, on the 1 second window basis. So is that a use case that you support?
Yeah, so actually for sentiment analysis as such, we have to use some third party libraries, you can say. but yeah, you can get the text data and do any processing you want. So basically at the end, what is not must?
The schema definition may not be a mandatory requirement. In
Yeah, so you can
services.
have like a plain byte array or whatever, just the string input is also supported. Basically any Java object which is serializable can work as incoming tuple. Okay, so we'll move on to the next topic. So next topic is about Apex terminologies with respect to Windows. So let's look at the diagram on right hand side. So we have some scale or ruler. So least count of that ruler is 1 mm, right? And when we do any measurement with this ruler, it will be in the multiples of 1 mm. So I can say that this blue circle is 20 times of 1 mm, or the green circle is 35 times 1 mm. Let's say we have some circle which is 21.5. We cannot measure the dimension of that circle with this ruler because there is no marker for 0.5 mm. The least count for this ruler is 1 mm, right? So looking at this analogy, let's try to understand two important concepts in Apex terminology. So the first one is streaming window size. Streaming window size is your smallest time slice to be considered for this application. Okay, so this is analogous to 1 mm in this ruler case. So we are saying all your computations are basically the smallest time slice you are considering is maybe 1 second. So in my earlier example, we had one operator which is working on 1 second boundary, the other operator which is working on 1 minute boundary. So overall we can say the application, the smallest time slice is 1 second, right? The another important concept is application window count, which is how many streaming windows does this operator take to complete one unit of work. So this is equivalent of this 20 mm or 35 mm. So we are saying like 20 times 1 mm. Similarly here we are saying how many streaming windows. So we can say maybe one streaming window for one operator, the other operator will be like 60 streaming windows, right? So let's map this terminologies to the example. So we are saying that streaming window size is smallest time slice. So for this particular application, smallest time slice is 1 second. Whereas the application window count is for percent change operator, it is 1 second. So it becomes one streaming window. And for average price, it becomes 1 minute. So it becomes 60 streaming windows. Okay. Any questions? So the streaming window size, the least count time slice, is the application level configuration. So it is common across all the operators in your directed acyclic graph. Okay. The platform default is half a second. So platform says that I will chop the incoming stream at half second boundaries. And generally it is good fit for most of the use cases, but there is a provision to override the default and have your own streaming window size. We'll come to that, like how to configure streaming window size. So regarding application window count, it is a operator level configuration. So each operator can define how many streaming windows will I need to process one unit of work. Okay. The platform default is 1. So it's like some operators are not working on the window level, they are working at the record level. So for those operators, it is not mandatory to define application window count. And platform by default will assume that okay, this operator can finish the whatever the processing needed in that particular window itself. So for that reason we have platform default as one streaming window. So if your operator is not doing any special operations over multiple streaming windows, we can simply use the default. Let's move on to configuring. So for streaming window size, we have to configure it in terms of millisecond. So we are saying for our application, it's 1000 millisecond. That's 1 second. That is my smallest time slice. And for operator, so let's talk about average operator. So it's 1 minute. That is 60 streaming windows. So I'm saying application window count for that particular operator, it's 60 streaming windows. Is it clear? Okay, let's move on to the next topic. Let's talk about how the windows are handled internally at in the Apex platform. Okay, so let's consider the input adapter or the operator which talks to the external world and gets data into the Apex system. So typically any operator will work in a yarn container. Yarn container is nothing but Java process. It runs in a JVM on some node in your cluster, right? So you can see this is the outside box indicates the container, the JVM. So inside that we have this input adapter, which is like the operator or the program which connects to the external world and gets data into the system. Now your operator, the platform wraps the operator by something called as input node. Now don't confuse this node with the node in your cluster. This node represents the node in your directed acyclic graph. Okay, so as we talked earlier, the node corresponds to your computational units. So the platform wraps your input adapter by the input node, and there is one thread for generating windows. So depending on what is your streaming window size, this window generator will generate control tuples. So it will basically send a signal saying that this is beginning of my window, and after 1 second it will say that okay, now this window has ended, and immediately it will start the next window. Okay. Now the input adapter is reading data from external source and emitting the data tuples. Okay, and both these tuples, the control tuples and data tuples, are sent to something called as buffer server. That is nothing but you can assume it's some in-memory store which stores your tuples and hold them in memory, and those are available to your downstream operators. Okay, so you can see here some data like, so we have begin window, then we have some data tuples emitted, then we have end window, immediately we have next begin window, then again some data tuples, then again end window, the next begin window. So basically this defines my window n, the next one defines my window n plus 1, and downstream will be always lagging. So whatever is the next window, it will come to the left, right? Any questions?
So is there a restriction that there will be only one input adapter for a stream? Because since the input adapter is going to generate these windows, if I have multiple input adapters, I cannot make streams from multiple input adapters.
Okay, so that's a great question actually. So in your application you can have multiple input adapters. So let's say one adapter for each stream. So in my example, I have shown only one input adapter because let's say both the stock price and index price are coming from the same source. But as you pointed out, the two streams could be coming from two different sources. Okay. At that time, what will happen is basically both input adapters are, let's say, deployed on two different nodes. Okay. So they are running in two different JVM instances, but the configuration is same. So the streaming window size is same for both of them because that is application level property, and it is communicated to both the input adapters, and we assume that the clocks are synchronized for both the machines. So the streaming window generator will actually start based on some clock. So it will say that, okay, so suppose my input adapter 1 starts at time, let's say 12:00, okay, and input adapter 2, let's say, starts maybe 5 seconds after that. So when input adapter 2 starts, it actually checks, okay, my current time is 5 seconds after the application launch. So I will start with the window 5.
So my question is for this one input stream. I have one, let's say, stock price stream coming in. I have the stock price stream coming in. There's a lot of data coming in. And if I just run one input adapter, it's going to limit my throughput. I want to run multiple input adapters to intake the data. In which case, how would I insert these control tuples such that the windows don't get mixed up downstream?
So actually the question is like, so it's like data is coming at much higher rate and we have multiple instances of input adapter, and then basically what is the question, like how do we synchronize?
Yes. So let's say there's one coming in. It has I cannot afford to run. I need to run multiple input adapters because there's a lot of throughput. In which case, if each input adapter is generating these windows, these control tuples. So let's say there are 3 input adapters. Each of them is generating these the control tuples, and now that data goes downstream. So now those control tuples are going to get mixed up,
Right.
because it's the data is getting combined from
Right,
input
right.
streams.
So actually, for me the question is the window generator common across all the input adapters? Because that is what I assume from this diagram.
Yes.
So I would rather have one option is multiple buffer servers, and every input adapter it ingests into one single buffer server. But then the window generator supplies the control tuples to each of the buffer servers.
Yeah.
That will be the correlation across input adapters.
Yeah.
So the question is basically for the remote audience, I am repeating the question. So the question is basically, do we have a window generator for each instance of input adapter? Is it a single instance of window generator which is serving to all instances of input adapter, or is it like the window generator is separate for each instance? So in case of Apex, actually the window generator is separate for each container. Okay, and how does it synchronize is like control tuples are independent. So basically each input adapter will have its own stream, and those control tuples will go into that stream, and whenever the downstream operator receives data from, let's say, 2 different adapters, it will basically look at the window ID, and before moving on to the next window for any stream, it will check whether the windows are over for all the previous windows are over for all other streams. Then only it will move to the next begin window. And that is the reason why we have 2 different control tuples saying that window, begin window and end window.
Just to add on to what Yogi said, basically mostly it would be a bug. Okay. Other than that, the chances are that a certain tuple is getting processed for a longer period of time than it should. So, for example, connection to database, it is taking a longer time to get responded.
Okay.
That may be one of the reasons there.
Okay, but wouldn't then that be that you're not generating any inputs, so you will get between start and end you will get nothing? That's how it would be, right? Because
Yeah, so what would happen is it also depends upon the rate at which you are getting the data.
Right.
It would depend upon if you are doing a lot of processing, right?
Right.
So that particular operator will actually turn out to be very slow as compared to the amount of data you're getting. So that will start building back pressure.
Right.
And that is where the staff would come into the picture, realizing that the back pressure is getting built and it will try to take corrective action.
Imagine 4 streams going into, let's say, 3, or imagine 16 going into 3, and your partitioning upstream has not happened properly. So few of the downstream operators are getting more data than some of the other ones, and ultimately at the tier at which you are having that unification going, your window IDs are out of sync because few upstreams are doing relatively slower processing because of higher velocity of data going into them vis-a-vis the other partitions that you have. So typically in these cases you see that it just has to do with ensuring a uniform partitioning scheme in the upstream operators going into a unifier.
So next slide talks about the generic operator. So we saw what happens at the input side. Let's look at what happens at the processing level. So this can be any operator in your directed acyclic graph. So typically data is coming over the incoming stream, and then basically this generic node, which is wrapper over your operator, will intercept the control tuples, the begin window and end windows. It will pass on the data tuples, which are colored in blue, to the actual operator code. Now your operator code is responsible for processing those tuples and emitting the output tuples. So here they are shown in different color. And then basically again the control tuples and data tuples goes to the buffer server for the downstream operator. Here again we can see that window n and window n plus 1. So here we can see begin window, end window and beginning of next window. So the overall structure is similar. Only thing is that we don't have window generator in other cases. It's only for the input adapters. Okay. So let's look at how tuples flow in the stream. So we'll start with begin window, then we will emit few data tuples. So this diagram also shows some tuples being generated by the input operator. The begin window of the first window has reached the operator 1. Now there are few more data tuples coming in. The window is progressing from operator 1 towards operator 2. So you can say the space between two vertical lines is nothing but the buffer server. Finally, we have end window for input operator, and still the operator 1 is processing. And here we can see the key observation that the downstream the processing of operator 1 starts immediately as soon as it gets the tuple. So operator 1 doesn't have to wait for end window to send the data to the downstream operator. It happens instantaneously, and this is the main distinguishing factor from the micro batches. So we'll go into details at the end of presentation, but this is just to give the brief summary. Okay. So after some time we'll have the end window. There will be again the begin window for the next window immediately following the end window, and after some time you can see that there are many windows onto the stream. So let's say operator 3 and 2 are processing some data tuples, and both of them are in the same window boundary. The operator 1 is processing the next window. So we can see the window n plus 1 over here, and input operator is basically, let's say, at one more window ahead. So it is showing the window n plus 2. Is this flow clear? Okay, so basically tuples are flowing from this operator to the buffer server to the downstream operator, and then processing happens. It generates some new tuples. Those get into the buffer server and passed on to the next operator, and so on. And in between data tuples shown by the blue color, we have some control tuples which are shown by the red and green color. Okay.
So can you define some dependency chart or dependency graph kind of thing? For example, certain operator operators would like to wait for all the windows to sort of 90 to get finished process and then generate some aggregated data presented to the operator 3. So there might be some cases where I don't need this, but there might be some cases I would need this.
Yeah.
So do we have such flexibility?
Yeah. So the question is, can we have some synchronization mechanisms like waiting for some end windows for some particular operators and then do some processing? So maybe the short answer is you can do that, but let's take it offline. How to do that? I'm not going into details of that, but yeah, definitely that is possible, and we are doing it for some of our solutions. Okay, so let's move on to what are the callbacks for the operators. Okay, so the callback functions are begin window and end window. So those are provided by the platform and to the application developer. So begin window and end window will get called based on your what is your application window count. So earlier we said that my application window count for my average operator is 1 minute, so it is 60 streaming window. So you can safely assume that my begin window and end window will get called after every 60 windows, so 60 streaming windows. Okay, and whatever custom logic you want to implement, you can just add it to these functions, and platform will take care of doing invoking those functions. So this is how the operator callbacks are handled. So actually the wrapper node class looks at the control tuples, and then after based on the application window count, it will invoke whatever is the operator dot begin window or dot end window. So some examples for possible applications which you can do for per window basis. So the classic example is for aggregation. So let's say we want to do some average over last 1 minute, or let's say maximum over last 1 second, or let's say sometimes writing to the external store. So it could be file system or it could be databases or anything. So sometimes it is the store itself constrains that if you write record by record, then performance will not be optimal. So it expects the data should be dumped in you can say bulk, or at least the batches. At that time we can say that okay, I will write it to the external store after every 60 windows, or maybe after every 1 second. So let's move on to the next topic. So for that, let's look at the example. So let's say we want to analyze Twitter trends. Okay, the expected output is top 10 URLs mentioned in the tweet, and let's say we want results over last 5 minutes, and we want to update these results for every half a second. Okay. So my input, my application DAC will look like this. So the operator will be Twitter input. It will connect to Twitter APIs and get the data into Apex. The URL extractor will extract the URLs from the tweets. Then we have unique counter and then the top in counter, right? And we are saying that we want output over last 5 minutes, and we want to emit results for every half a second. Okay. So for that, actually Apex allows something called as sliding windows. So earlier we talked about the aggregate windows, where we said that whatever is the aggregate statistics will be emitted at every end window. So let's say every 60 seconds. Now we are saying that we want results over last X windows, and I want to emit results after every M windows. So in this case we said that we want results for last 5 minutes, and we want to emit those results every half a second, right? So here what happens is my red color box is let's say 5 minutes, and windows are flowing through it, and the blue color box are nothing but the streaming windows. And so depending on what is your emit frequency, we will decide like how much to slide. Okay. So here is the summary. So you can say that the left side you can see the aggregate application windows. So where each window is generating some aggregate statistics and those are getting emitted. Whereas on the right hand side we see the sliding application windows where we have overlapping boundaries for the statistics. We call them as rolling statistics. So our Twitter example is for rolling statistics. So for this there is a concept called slide by window count. So this is operator level configuration. So the application developer should ask saying that what is my emit frequency. So for this particular case we said that I want to emit the results for every half a second. So that becomes my slide by window count. So basically we are saying that I want to emit the result for every streaming window and my application window count will be in this case 5 minutes, right? So the value can be anywhere between 1 to application window count and the default is turned off. So basically you don't have any default value, and if you want to turn on this feature you just specify some value for the slide by window count. The default is tumbling window, that is nothing but the whatever the aggregate application window we talked about or the non-overlapping windows we talked about. So for the Twitter application we can say that my streaming window size is 500 milliseconds, half a second, and my operator will be rolling stats over 5 minutes. So it becomes 600 windows, right? And emit frequency is maybe not 1 minute, actually it should be half a second. So it becomes one streaming window. So this is how we configure slide by window count. Okay. So in this particular case we are saying that the emit frequency is a half a second. Let's now look at the comparison of Apex windowing with micro batches. Okay. So let's say we have two different Pani Puri vendors. One vendor is serving you a plate of Pani Puri at a time. Okay. So once you place an order, he will take some time, let's say 5 minutes, to prepare the dish and then he will serve to you. The other Pani Puri vendor is giving one Pani Puri at a time. Okay. So as soon as you place the order, he will start serving you the Pani Puri. And this is the real difference between micro batch and streaming windows. So the platforms which are based on micro batch, so let's go into the details. So in case of Apex windows, we say that the stream is divided into time slices and the window markers are getting added to the streams. Then the highlighting point is that records do not wait for window end. Okay, those are emitted to the downstream operator as soon as they are processed. The uses for windows, the engine uses it for bookkeeping or for tracking purpose, whereas the operators use them for custom aggregations based on windows or whatever the custom logic you want to do at window level. Okay. Whereas in case of micro batch engines, again the stream is getting divided, but it is based on some small size batches. Each micro batch is getting processed independently, and then here is the main point. So each record has to wait till the micro batch is ready for further processing. So as we said, like the entire plate of Pani Puri will be served at a time. You cannot get one single Pani Puri out of the plate. Whereas in the other case, we get one Pani Puri as soon as it is available. The example for micro batch engine could be Spark streaming. So there was one question actually earlier saying that how is it different from Spark streaming. So with this analogy, I think it should be clear. But just to summarize, let's look at the emphasis. So we are saying that the waiting, with respect to waiting time, we say that in case of micro batches, the records has to wait till the end of micro batch. Whereas in case of Apex streaming windows, records do not wait. So the begin window and end window are part of the stream. They are just some markers in the stream. So you can think of them as we have a stream of water and we put some paper boats in it. So the paper boats will flow along with the water, right? It will not hold the flow of water. The additional latency. So in case of microbatch engines, there is a artificial latency. So this is a consequence of this waiting time, right? Whereas in case of Apex streaming windows, there is no additional latency. So whatever is your processing time is actually because of your computational logic. It is not some extra overhead to your latency. So the limits to the latencies. So in case of microbatches, since there are some additional latencies, we can get sub-second latencies for simple applications, but for many applications, it leads to multi-second latencies. Whereas in case of Apex streaming windows, we have some customers who have achieved end-to-end latencies of the order of 2 milliseconds. So we can claim that even sub-second latencies or few millisecond latencies are possible with Apache Apex platform. And when we talk about stream processing, latency is the key factor we need to take into consideration. Otherwise, what is the point of going for stream processing, right? Otherwise, we would have done the batch way. For example, if we are analyzing the Twitter trend and if we get the results 15 minutes later, then they are of no use. We want to see what's happening right now, right? So that is the conclusion. Any questions?
There might be some benefits of having macro batch approach as against no macro batch.
Yeah, so I would say, so the question is there will be some advantages of having micro batches. So definitely I would say that some use cases the micro batch approach could be more suitable. The example could be, let's say, machine learning or the iterative algorithms where we have to run through the data multiple times. But in case of use cases where we just incoming tuple flowing through some computation and going out, where there are no iterations, it is better to go the streaming route rather than the micro batch route. So it depends on use cases to use case, but we are saying that if latency is your first concern, then you should look at the platform which supports true streaming and you should not go for micro batch.
Just to add to your point, from a processing perspective, I don't think that we have advantage because we are still processing the same amount of data. In fact, you would be using it more optimally by not allowing your CPU to wait and continuously processing it. Maybe it will be able to process all the more amount of data as well. Your peak provision that you have to do doesn't have to be done because you don't every time have to go for a peak, but it will continuously get streamed, right?
So Spark Streaming does support what you say as windowed operations, which is closer to the model we have here, but not the same. The fundamental difference being, let's say you have a D stream, which is a streaming view, which is an encapsulation of the RDDs. Let's say you have 90 tuples forming one D stream, and then you are iterating over time 1 through time n, right? So in the windowed operations, you typically give the window length and the length with which you want to slide. Let's say the window length is 3 and the length with which you want to slide is 2. So you will have 30 tuples coming as the output of it because you have 90 inputs and a factor of 3. And the sliding part of it will be 2. That means like at time 3, a particular tuple will be a part of overlapping windows basically. The fundamental difference between this model here and the one that is implemented with Spark Streaming is that all the operations are being applied on a discretized stream or a D stream over the window length. So a particular operation, let's say count or reduce, is applied over the length of the window, 3 in this case. But the next window of which a particular tuple will be a part actually has to wait for the output of it, right? So while it is overlapping and a tuple can be a part of multiple windows, it's not like this where one tuple can be sent to the downstream operator and that window state can still be persisted, and the metadata management would happen in a streaming way. So that I would believe, that I would say, while it's a streaming implementation, it is still dependent on the overlaps that are governed by the transformations of the T streams given by the window length and the interval of slide, which adds latency.
In addition to that, as you said, it's basic Java platform. But are there any ready-to-use frameworks also used in between to develop this platform along with Java? There are several Apache frameworks available as open source.
Can you give some examples?
Maybe Lucene or these kind of something similar to that.
Yeah. So for Lucene, I would say. So we have support for Solar and
Solar.
yeah.
Solar is
So those are actually not part of the platform as such. So those are as you can see over here, there are two repositories. One is Apex Core and other is Malhar. So Core is about the processing engine or the platform which we talk about. That is the Apex platform, which takes care of all the infrastructure part. And the Apex Malhar is actually a library of connectors which talks to the external world. So for example, if we take the case for Solar, we have Solar input operator or Solar output operator. So reading data from Solar and writing it to the Solar. So there are many connectors available in the Malhar library to talk to different sources and writing to different destinations.
Yeah, so what I was basically thinking about was when we say adapter, so typically we connect from one platform to the other platform. So that they can talk to each other, and whatever their handshake, this happens. So that helps in exchanging the data, sort of.
Right.
So in this case, the Core and Malhar, so do they also talk to some other platform by using this adapter, like Lucene or Solar, which
Yeah,
we
so
were talking about?
Solar input operator or Solar input adapter is part of Malhar library. And what we do is we typically include Malhar library as part of your application. So it will be available with your application, and you have to just call some APIs from that adapter and get data from Solar.
Got it.
Got it?